"37-year-old Anita Rani is one of the new generation of presenters changing the face of British television.
This is great. I'm driving a 180-ton truck and I'm getting lessons by someone in Russian. Get out of the way is all I'm saying. Yahoo! I'm driving a flipping truck!
When I was growing up in Bradford, I didn't think I'd be presenting, you know, Country File and The One Show and travelling the world. It's amazing. 360 degrees around me, all I can see is desert. This one is terrifying. I am not a traditional Indian girl. And I think that is because I was aware that boys were able to just do stuff and just get away with it. And I think with girls there was always, but you can't do that, and you can't do this. And my answer was always, why? My mum is from a Sikh family, but I grew up going to the Sikh temple. I went to a Church of England school. I can say the Lord's Prayer backwards. You know, I just have an understanding of all religions, and yet, personally, I choose to follow none. But my grandfather, my mum's dad, was definitely Sikh. His name was Sant Singh. My mum absolutely idolised her father. I never met him. I know that he was married before he married my nan and that his wife and child died. But nobody's got clear answers about how that happened. They don't talk about that. And I would love to have the opportunity to know more. I've wanted to know more about this guy my entire life. I live in London, in East London. But I grew up in Bradford, the glamorous bit of West Yorkshire. My mum had an arranged marriage. They'd found a suitable boy in my father, and he was in Bradford. My mum's dream was that she was going to move to England and she was going to learn to ballroom dance. And she arrived in Bradford, and my dad took her to the pub. Welcome to Yorkshire, love. This is what we do here. No ballroom dancing. You can have half a pint of mild. Mum's family are Punjabi. We're from that part of India, the north. But they were all born all over the place because my grandfather was in the army. His first family died during partition. Obviously, I've asked questions, but no one really talks about it, you know? No one talks about partition.
Anita's maternal grandfather, Sant Singh, lost his first family during the communal violence which erupted across India in 1947, when independence from British rule was declared and the country was split to create the new Muslim state of Pakistan. This dramatic redrawing of India's borders was known as partition. Anita has arranged a family get-together to see if she can find out any more about what happened to her grandfather and his first family.
My mum and dad have come down from Bradford. I haven't seen them in ages. I can't wait to see them. My mum is a big motivation, actually, in me wanting to pursue this story, because Grandad is her father, and she's the one who's told me all about him and built this image I've got of him in my mind.
Anita's family have gathered in Ilford, East London, at her Uncle Sonny's house. She calls him Mamaji, or Mum's brother.
Hello, Mamaji. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good to see you. Hello, Mama.
Hello, darling.
Oh, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you.
You're looking nice and colourful, vibrant. Right, Dad.
Oh,
How are you? So I've come to find out some stuff finally about Nannaji.
Asking questions?
I'm here to ask you questions.
Yeah, that's what you've been always asking questions.
I've always been like, yeah, I've been honest.
Sant Singh married Anita's grandmother, Balbir, in 1948, after the loss of his first family during partition. Anita's hoping that her mother Lucky, Uncle Sonny, and Auntie Jasbir can tell her more about their father's early life.
I've heard so much about my grandfather. He's right there, looking very smart and handsome. There's a picture of him there.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
But I don't really know that much about him.
On the cards,
Yeah, I showed some pictures.
Let's have a look at some pictures. This is nice.
This is our family photo.
Mum,
Yeah.
eldest Masiji, Gurdeep, Sant Singh, there he is. He looks really cool there.
Dad used to get posted from one station to the other.
Because he was in the army.
He was in the army.
Do we know what year he joined the army?
He's very young.
Let me see if I can find him.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah.
He
He
joined-
was so young. So this was pre-partition.
Yeah.
So he joined the army in 35. Do we know what year he was born?
No.
Or where he was born?
I think in Pakistan.
Somewhere in Pakistan.
So what's now
Because during-
Pakistan?
Yeah.
So we don't really know much about him at all.
Some medals. I'll show
You've
you
got
some
medals?
Oh, yes.
Oh, this is
Yeah,
exciting.
here we go.
Indian independence, 15th of August 1947.
Yeah.
So this is partition.
Partition time, yeah.
What do we know about his life at this time?
He was
Yeah,
married.
married.
He had wife and a child.
And what were they called? Do we know their names?
I don't know the name.
Did he have a girl or a boy?
Boy, we know a son.
But you don't know his name. And what happened to them?
They were murdered at that time.
They were murdered.
Yeah.
I think son was murdered and wife jumped in the well.
What? She
see?
jumped in a well.
She jumped in a well.
I can't believe that actually happened in our own family.
That's it. My goosebumps, still
Yeah.
when I talk about it.
So sad. So there's so many questions.
Yeah.
Where was my grandfather when all this was happening?
That's true.
Because we know he's got a medal, so he was definitely somewhere involved in partition.
Definitely.
And then who was this woman? What was her name? This woman who took her own life. Mamaji, can I take these away with me?
Yeah, sure.
And if it's all right with you, and I promise I will bring it all back. Can I take this one away?
It's a bit fragile. But
It is
I'll let
fragile.
You look after.
I will, I promise. How does it make you feel
Training
seeing him like
school.
that? Look how young he is. Have you ever seen?
No, We're
We're crying already. This figure from my childhood has now become a little bit more real. But there's so much that they don't know about their father. He's a man of mystery, really. He's had this whole life that they know nothing about. Who was his first wife? His son? What were their names? Who were his parents? Where was he born? What year was he born? We don't know the answers to any of these questions. Oh, yes, I can't wait to find out.
Anita has decided to travel to India to explore her grandfather's life, which she knows began somewhere in the Punjab, one of the states which was bisected by partition. She's starting her journey in nearby New Delhi, the capital of modern India.
The minute I land in India, the hot, intense air smacks you in the face. You can smell the dust, and it's mixed with curry and incense, and it's fantastic. And you only get it in India. Look at this place. It's incredible.
Anita has arranged to meet military historian Rana Chinna at his house on the outskirts of Delhi. He has been researching her grandfather Sant Singh's career as a soldier.
Hello, Rana.
Hi, Anita.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, welcome
How
to
are you?
India.
Thank you.
Good.
It's good to be here.
So, Rana, I have come with a photograph of my grandfather, Sant Singh. I don't know very much about him at all.
Well, the interesting thing about this, of course, is that's the Kashmir Army Training School, not a part of the British Army.
Right.
But this document actually tells us when he enrolled in the British Indian Army in 1942.
This is for my grandfather.
That's for your
This is-
granddad,
This
yes.
is Sant Singh's.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. Looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This I didn't know. Father's name, Deru Ram,
Yes.
not Singh.
No.
I had no idea that that's what his father was called. Date of birth. He was born on the 26th of the 7th, 1916.
Yes.
Yay, we could celebrate his birthday. No one knew when my grandfather was born, not even his
Right.
own children. And it says here, age of enrolment, 26.
Yes.
I know that he was married at this time, and I know that he had a wife and child. But where was his family at this
Well,
point?
There's a clue to that in this.
Employment before enlistment as a overseer
Yes.
in Canal Department in Montgomery District.
Yes.
Where's the Montgomery District?
The Montgomery district is in that part of Punjab that is now in Pakistan.
Sounds very British, the Montgomery District.
Yes, it is.
So I've got this, the Independence Medal.
This was awarded to anybody who had served for 3 years within the geographical confines of India.
So where was he in 1947 during partition? Is there any way of finding out?
Yes, we do have something. That's an extract of his service record.
July 47 to November 48, he was in Kirky.
Yes.
Where's Kirky?
It's about 1,000 miles due south, close to Bombay, far removed from his family and his home in the Punjab.
Crikey. So he's 1,000 miles away. Partition is taking place. Chaos and hell and whatever else is going on is happening up there, and his family will be right in the thick of it.
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Wow.
Very, very stressful time.
I have some new bits of information. His birthday, which nobody else in the family knows, and that his father was called Deru Ram, and that during partition he was over 1,000 miles away, nowhere near Punjab, but I don't know where he was born. I don't know anything about his wife and his son. So I've got some stuff, but there's still big potholes like Indian roads, missing knowledge.
An unexpected parcel has arrived for Anita at her hotel.
Good morning, Miss Rani.
Good morning. I understand that you've got a package or something for
Yes,
me.
we do have. Just give me a moment. Here's the parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great day, ma'am.
Thank you.
The package is from Sant Singh's oldest son, Anita's uncle, Gurdeep, who still lives in India.
This is amazing. My mum's brother has sent me my grandfather's handwritten diary. Wow, this is his handwriting. I can't quite get my head around this. This is incredible. And this is in Punjabi. Not that I can read Punjabi. They attempted to send me to Sunday school, but I spent all my time nattering to my mates. And now I wish I'd paid attention. Oh. He's written an English translation. The Diary of Sant Singh, Part 1. Sant Ram was born as son of Deru and Danti. Wow. So his mum's called Danti, and his name was Sant Ram, not Sant Singh. So he's writing about himself. So this is a memoir.
Anita has discovered that her maternal grandfather was born Sant Ram, not Sant Singh, as she had always believed, and that her great-grandfather was Deru Ram, and her great-grandmother, Danti.
Danti lay unconscious with high fever. Perhaps God does not like poor people's joy for long. The notorious plague had assumed epidemic form. Wow. His mother died of this plague. Almost everyone in the village suffered from fever and got bedridden. It seemed as if death had been given a free hand. That's really sad. So they're living in a village called Sahali. So that's obviously where he was born. So where's Sahali?
Anita's family has always believed that her grandfather was from that part of the Punjab that is now Pakistan. But she has discovered that he was actually born in a small village called Sahali, 80 miles inside India. From Delhi, Sahali is a day's drive into the heart of the Indian Punjab.
This is the Punjab that I know and love. Slightly bumpy, sleepy country lanes cutting through this beautiful countryside, lush, green, tree-lined lanes. We've got hay bales in fields, brick factories dotted around. Just very evocative.
Anita has been coming to this part of India since she was a child. But this is the first time she has been to the village where her grandfather was born. She's arranged to meet journalist and author Gillian Wright, who's been researching Sant Singh's life in Sahali.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Gillian.
Hi, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Sahali.
Yes, you come home now.
Oh, wow. So this is it.
Well, come with me. I'll show you what there is to see.
Okay.
Sant Singh's family home was demolished many years ago, but Gillian has discovered a neighbouring house that still survives.
God, Gillian, look at this. How old is this?
I would imagine this is a couple of hundred years old.
Wow.
Inside, you can see all the grain stores. So
they've got...
They keep their wheat and so forth.
Oh, look, this is it. You know you're in Punjab when you've got a wheat store. Oh, wow. Gosh. It feels like we've travelled back in time being in this environment. So, Gillian, I've brought some fabulous stuff that I'd like to show you that my grandfather wrote, a memoir. I mean, I'm totally blown away by this.
Oh, that really is very remarkable.
Isn't it? The first thing I wanted to ask you about is this illness, or this plague as he describes it, that his mother Danti died of.
This particular story is quite clear, actually. At that time, at the end of the First World War, there was a huge influenza epidemic. It became known as the Spanish flu.
While no one knows where the Spanish flu came from, the virus first took hold in the trenches at the end of World War I. But all reporting of it was banned for fear of damaging morale. No such restrictions existed in neutral Spain, where stories of its deadly and highly contagious nature began to emerge. It spread quickly around the world, and by the end of 1920, estimated deaths hit 50 million. Far exceeding the casualties from the First World War, making it the worst influenza pandemic in recorded history. Indian troops returning from the war in Europe brought the illness back to their homeland with devastating effect.
The disease came in waves, and then it fanned across the country, going north, east, south, in really epic proportions. Once you get so many people together, close together, eating, fighting, traveling, There was no way of stopping it.
So if somebody brings it back to a relatively poor village in India where families are so close-knit, you haven't got a hope.
Yes, and its impact on India was so massive. It was naturally reported in the British press, and this is a report from the time your grandfather seems to have been writing about.
Influenza in India, nearly 6 million deaths, rival of the plague. The epidemic, according to Major Norman White, assumed the proportions of a national calamity in this country, and he is of the opinion that no country suffered so severely as did India. The hospitals in the Punjab were choked so that it was impossible to remove the dead quickly enough to make room for the dying. The streets and lanes of the cities were littered with dead and dying people. Oh, my God, this is terrible.
It's estimated that during the epidemic in British India, about 14 million people died.
Just unfathomable figures. It's the idea that 14 million people die in one country of the flu.
People who survived, they must have been very tough indeed, because your family also survived, no?
And Sant survived. This is the thing. Well, it's tragic that his mother died, but Sant, the little baby, who he talks about himself being this sickly child with fever, what a fighter.
What a fighter.
I want to show you something. According to his autobiography, he has this name, Ram, Sant Ram. But in the certificate of discharge from the army, it says here very clearly, Sant Singh.
Yes.
So when did he go from Ram to Singh, and why would that have happened?
He was born in a Hindu family. His name was Ram.
Yeah.
In this area, it was a practice for one son, perhaps the eldest son, to be made a Sikh in Hindu families.
Sure.
So he must have become a baptized Sikh and put on a turban between the time of his childhood and joining the army.
Fascinating.
There is something else here which is very interesting. It says Jat, which is a farming caste that was especially prized by the British Indian Army as a martial caste.
Okay.
But he's not a Jat. Your family were Taggars, so they were all, to a man and woman, potters. And these potters were not considered by the British to be great martial caste. No, weren't warriors.
He lied. He lied to further himself.
He definitely bent the truth a bit here.
Yeah. So are there any Tuggers left in this village?
I think you'll definitely find Tuggers here.
Although India's ancient hierarchical caste system is largely discredited today, caste-based gotras, or clans, are still important in some small villages like Sahali. Anita is related through her grandfather to the Tugger clan, a gotra within the Potter caste, and one of the clan elders has agreed to meet her. His name is Harjinder Pal.
Hello ji.
Hello, Dad.
Sat Sri Akal ji.
मैं तेरा मामा
Mama ji ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਹੋ?
हाँ मैं तेरा
Sat Sri Akal. ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ.
Welcome in Sarali.
Welcome to
Especially from Tagger family.
Tugger from yours, so Mr. Tugger.
Yes. ताया जी दा जेड़ा father ਸੀ.
Hanji.
They are both cousin.
Okay, so your grandfather and my great-grandfather were cousins.
Cousin.
There we go. The Tugger clan's heartland.
खानदान है बहुत घर अपने थे.
Apparently there's lots of Tugger houses here.
Harjinder has asked everyone in Sahali who's related to Anita to meet in the centre of the village.
ये जितना ये सानू
Here we go, the Tuggers. Hello, Tuggers.
ये अपना
Sat Sri Akal ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ, Sat Sri Akal, Sat Sri Akal. I don't know how to do this. ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ, Mama ji, Mama ji, Mama ji. Mama ji, Mama ji, Mama ji. Mummy ji, Mummy ji, Mummy ji. Chalo, Sat Sri Akal, Mummy ji. Look at this. Your wife. Acha ji, Mummy ji. Acha, hard. The sipao, keep hard. Well, we're getting garlands. Thank you, Mummy ji. Wow, look at this. Just the garlands will help me put weight on. God, I thought I already had a big Indian family. It's growing by the second. Wow. I don't even think my mum knows that she's related to this many people here. This is amazing. And if I was in any doubt as to who owns this house, it says there, Tugger. The Tugger clan. My extended, wonderful Indian family. One massive family. Hooray! It's brilliant.
Harjinder was only a child when his cousin, Sant Singh, returned to Sahali after the loss of his first family during partition.
So did you know that Sant was married before he married my Nani ji? Did you know his first wife?
ਆਪਣੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਪਾਰਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ I think ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਉਦੋਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਆਇਆ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਵੀ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਡੈਥ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ.
So she died during partition. Do you know her name or the name of her son? ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਪਤਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ? ਪਹਿਲੀ wife ਦਾ?
No.
No? What about his father, Deruram? What happened to him?
ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਾਰਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਇਦਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹੈਪਨਿੰਗ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ.
God. They must have been trying to get back here. So after partition, my grandfather Sant Singh, did he come back here?
ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੋਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ. ਤਾਇਆ ਜੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੋਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੈਂਡ ਇੱਥੇ ਸੀਗੀ.
Where is that land now? Why do my uncles not have that land? Why is it not in my family? Who has that land?
ਮੇਰੇ ਪਾਸ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੈ.
You have it?
Yes.
How do you have it? Why do you have it?
ਮੇਰਾ ਤਾਇਆ ਜੀ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਅਪਰੋਕਸੀਮੇਟਲੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖਿਆਲ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ 3,000 ਦੀ ਸੀ ਉਦੋਂ 3,000.
Wow.
2,500 ਦੀ ਇੰਨੀ ਦੀ ਸੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਕਿ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਸੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ.
You paid him 30 quid
I
for
have
the land?
ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਜੈਸੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੋਰਲੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਅਮਾਉਂਟ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦਾ ਪੂਰੀ. ਥੋੜੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਥੋੜੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਜਸਟ ਐਵੇਂ ਜਿਹਦਾ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਾਈ ਦਾ ਲੈ ਟੌਫੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਟੌਫੀਆਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਤਾਏ ਨੂੰ.
You paid him 30 quid for my ancestral homeland. Hang on a minute. I think my uncles might have a word about this. Where is it?
ਉਹ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆ ਜੀ ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਬਜ਼ਾ ਕੀਤਾ.
Which bit?
All this.
So that house
Not
there,
that,
with the nice blue sink and the tiles. Decent size.
This is gift of my dad.
You're a nice, generous man, this grandfather of mine. It's been fascinating today to see my grandfather's place of birth and meet this huge extended family of his 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, millionth cousins removed, all taggers still living as this clan. But it doesn't feel like I've got the answers to his story. I still need to know about his first wife, his son. What happened to them? What happened to them in 1947 during partition? I need to know more. This isn't the end of the story.
To find out more about her grandfather's life before partition, Anita is heading north on the Punjab's Grand Trunk Road, one of India's main highways.
This road is ridiculous. It's on 2 different levels. So if you want to change lanes, you're going up and down, up and down. And then, oh yeah, the lanes. There are no lanes. There's no road markings whatsoever. People are just going to do what they want to do, like this little old lady. Driving in India is not for the faint-hearted. It's frankly mental. Get in the car and hope and pray that you get to your destination in one piece. Why are people not sticking to the lane? Why is no one wearing a helmet on a motorcycle? Why are people carrying an entire family on a scooter? Wow. Amazing. What a building. Maharaja's palace.
Khalsa College, founded in 1892, is now part of one of India's leading universities. Anita has arranged to meet Dr. Rakesh Ankit, an expert on 20th century Indian history.
Hi, Rakesh.
It's so nice to meet you. Welcome to Khalsa College.
What a place. It's amazing, isn't it?
Indeed, it's the preeminent seat of learning.
So I've got this brilliant, you'll like this, being a historian, document.
It's a discharge document.
Yeah. So this is my grandfather. And it tells me that he lived somewhere called the Montgomery district and he was a sub-overseer in the canal department. Now, can you shed some light on this?
I'm going to show you a map.
A map? Oh, brilliant.
So this is a map of pre-independence, pre-partition Punjab. There are 5 rivers, which is what gives its name, Punjab.
Yes.
The land of 5 rivers. And this whole region is the Bari area.
And it says here, Montgomery.
And it says here Montgomery.
Yes.
So starting from the 1880s, the Bari area was part of this huge project where the British government of the day created 9 canals to bring irrigated water supply to this region, which was formerly a wasteland. Wow. I'll show you how some of these canals were created, so as to get a better sense of what was happening.
There we go.
This is a canal being built in a hitherto, as you can see, uncultivated land, inhabited by tribal, semi-nomadic, pastoral communities. And the British had a word for them. They used to call them junglies.
Oh, that's not a very nice word, is it? It's of the jungle, junglies.
Yes.
I sometimes call my husband a jungly.
And junglies were quickly pushed to the margins of this new society that was coming up in Punjab. 6 million acres was irrigated.
6 million acres. The figures that we're dealing with
are humongous, yes.
Humongous.
Yeah. It was literally going to be a land of prosperity.
Yeah.
A fabled land of...
milk and honey.
Milk and honey,
That's
absolutely. Now I'm going to show you some pictures.
This is great, watching the buffaloes.
And you can see the canals reach right to the field, which took the water right to where the cropping was being done.
Fantastic.
Literally down to the last village.
It must just changed everybody's life.
Absolutely. Punjab became the biggest irrigated province. So over a 40-year period, almost 1 million people made journey from the east and southern Punjab across the river.
The picture is starting to form because I know that Deru, my great-grandfather, he'd lost his wife to the Spanish flu. He had a small child at home, Sant, my grandfather, and it's the story of migration. Come for a better life, pop over the river, and here you go.
And the canal colonies provided lots of opportunities.
After his wife's death in the early 1920s, Deru Ram, Anita's great-grandfather, left Sahali to establish himself as a successful trader in the Montgomery district, and then sent for his young son, Sant, to join him. Sant's new life was very different to the one he'd left behind in Sahali. The family's increased wealth meant that he was able to get an education, and by his early 20s, he'd married, started a family, and found work.
As we know, your grandfather was employed as a sub-overseer in the canal department.
So this chap here, he's got his arm out, he looks very authoritative. That potentially could be the sort of role that my grandfather would have been in.
Absolutely. And anything to do with the upkeep, maintenance of the canals, which was no mean position. So the 1920s and the 1930s, his existence in the canal colonies must have been quite a few notches high than what his father's existence in the Jalandhar district would have been.
Yeah.
So there was an upward movement in the society at large, and they were part of it.
Good on him.
By the 1930s, the canal districts were one of the British Empire's great success stories, and their inhabitants were some of the Crown's most loyal subjects. Having already trained as a soldier in Kashmir, Sant Singh was a perfect candidate for the British Indian Army's recruitment drive at the outbreak of World War II. He joined the Electrical and Mechanical Engineers Division, and 5 years later, by the time of partition, in August 1947, he was serving in the south of India, far away from his family in Montgomery.
I know about my grandfather, that I know that he was married and he had a son. The story in the family is that his wife, his father and his son died. They perished. They were either killed or during partition.
Partition violence.
Yeah.
But the violence was largely in exactly these areas, in this arc from Rawalpindi to Multan. And Montgomery especially was the district where some of the first waves of violence against Hindus and Sikhs happened.
There is a family story that the son was murdered and the wife jumped into the well. Would that fit with what was happening at the time?
Yes, and unfortunately, Punjab became the epicenter of the partition violence.
On the 15th of August 1947, 89 years of British rule in India came to an end when the country declared independence. 2 days later, the British government announced the line of partition. It cut the Punjab in two, with millions of Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs finding themselves trapped on the wrong side of the new border. Montgomery, where Sant Singh's father, wife and child were living, had overnight become part of Pakistan. Anita has come to Amritsar, the spiritual capital of the Sikh world, to discover what happened to people who found themselves stranded on the wrong side of the partition line. She's here to meet 84-year-old Bir Bahadur Singh, who, like Sant's family, lived in the western Punjab, where some of the worst violence occurred.
Sasrikal Virji. Hanji, tusi dasso, how are you? Good. Wonderful to meet you. Better. Oh, I'm on a journey to try and find out about my grandfather. I know that you lived through partition. I was wondering if you could maybe tell me where you were, what happened to you at that time.
मेरी उम्र 16 साल सी मैं थोड़ा खालसा जिला पिंडी के रहने वाला मेरे फादर जो हैं वो सरपंच सन ताए चाचे 7 भरा सन
7 brothers.
हाँ और 2 भूआ सन साड़ियाँ हर एक दे 6 7 बच्चे सन.
That's a big family.
हाँ बहुत बड़ी फैमिली सी. 8 मार्च और 9 मार्च की रात से उस वक्त अब सानू भी आनी शुरू हुई मकाना की तो समझन घेर लिया तो मेरे पिताजी ने उन्होंने को खंडा से खंडा इस तरह हो जाता है मुसलमान एक लड़की की डिमांड कर रहे सन कि एक लड़की सानू दे दो जवान लड़की सी खूबसूरत लड़की सी वो सानू दे दो तो असी थोड़ा घेरा छोड़ देंगे और तुम अपने मकाना जैसे जैसे भी हैं चले असी तुहानू कुछ नहीं कहांगे. साढ़े फादर ने कहा कि असी ए सानू मंजूर नहीं कि असी अपनी लड़की दे के अपनी जान बचा लीए हुण असी समझते हैं कि साड़ियाँ धियां भैणां की बेइज्जती होएगी असी अपने हत्थीं उन्होंने मारते रहे हैं हुण सानू माफ़ करना.
I just need to understand what you've just said. Your father said to the village, rather than let the Muslims take our daughters, we will kill the girls ourselves.
उन्होंने आवाज़ मारी मान कौर इधर आजा बेटा आजा.
फिर उन्हें अपनी धियां मार दी हैं.
हाँ बैठ गई मान कौर इस तरह जिस तरह तुसी इत्थे खड़े हो ते इस तरह उन्होंने पर खंडा सी उन्होंने जिले मारन लगे खंडा मारन लगे तो आद पट्टा ना ये अड़ गया इस तो अड़ गया तो उन्होंने प्यो और धी दी आपस गल नहीं हुई सिर्फ मैं थिंक करना पल्ला आया तो मेरी भैन ने अपनी गुट इंज पकड़ी इंज मेरे पिताजी ने इंज किया इत्थे मारी खंडा मारिया और वो जाके गर्दन पे.
Gosh, Virji, this is really basically you're telling me.
ना कोई मतलब रोई फिर वारी मैंने पिताजी ने इंज किया कोई लड़का नहीं मारा कोई बच्चा नहीं मारा सिर्फ लड़कियां मारियां.
I'm trying to process what you're telling me. Gosh, and when you hear it. So basically, your father took the decision that him and a couple of other men of the village would murder their own wives and daughters. It's so cruel. It's so cruel.
वही स्टोरी है. उस मोर्चे तो उसे निकल गए ना 84 और 86 जो खूह च गिरियां.
They jumped in the well.
15 मिनट में खूह भर गया फुल हो गया.
So the rest of the women who were left, they made the decision that they would jump in the village well. And you're saying that the well was full of bodies. Kupargyasi. I can't stop crying. I'm not a crier. But this is the most horrific. And I guess because I'm here on my grandfather's journey, and I know that his father and his wife and son would have gone through something very similar. It's the most shocking, horrifying accounts of what humans are capable of. It's bonkers. That was full on. I feel really angry, actually, if I'm really honest, because I'm angry that the men folk of this village felt that that was the decision that they could take and that they took that decision and killed their own daughters. I hate that the world was in such a way that that's the only choice that women had, that the men would just decide their fate. I feel that for the women to just go to that fate would have taken a lot of courage. I don't think I could do it. There ain't no way I'd let my dad behead me. God, even just saying it sounds so mental. But, so I'm angry. I'm angry at the choice that the men took. And I'm also so in awe of these women who just went to their death willingly.
It's really I'm really confused right now. Really confused.
The partition of India and Pakistan in 1947 caused the largest forced migration in human history, with over 14 million people forced to flee their homes as neighbour turned on neighbour. Almost 1 million people, Muslim, Hindu and Sikh, died in the communal violence that was unleashed. The horrific treatment of women at that time was largely ignored in the years after 1947. But more recently, testimony from victims has begun to emerge. Anita has come to a suburb of Amritsar to meet Ritu Menon, an author who has documented the experiences of women involved in partition.
Hello, Ritu.
Hello, Anita.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Lovely to see you. Oh. So, Ritu, my grandfather, Sant Singh, I know that he was married before he married my nan, and that his wife died during partition by jumping into a well. And now I've discovered that there were so many acts of barbarism, fathers killing their own daughters, and it's been quite difficult for me to process.
At that time, there's an impression that a lot of the women actually committed what we call suicide by jumping into wells. The men will say the women took their lives, they sacrificed themselves, rather than be kidnapped, raped, abducted. But the women don't tell it as a story of bravery or of martyrdom. The women tell it as a story of no choice. One of the women whom we spoke to, this is what she told us.
Hindus threw their young daughters into wells, dug trenches and buried them alive. Some were burnt to death. Some were made to touch electric wires to prevent the Muslims from touching them. The Muslims used to announce that they would take away our daughters. They would force their way into homes and pick up young girls and women. We saw many who had been raped and disfigured, their faces and breasts scarred and then abandoned. They had tooth marks all over them. Their families said, "How can we keep them now?" saying it would have been better if they hadn't been born. Oh, gosh, Ritu.
It could be Muslims who were taken by Sikhs and Hindus. It could be Hindus who were taken by Muslims. I mean, it was a cross-community. And the stories that you hear, you think are particular to a village, perhaps, or a family. But then when you hear of them again and again and again, you realize that's not the case. They're particular to women.
Just listening to you, it's making my blood boil. It makes me think that if you were a cow at this time, you would have more of a chance of surviving.
You probably did.
I mean, this is only 2 generations ago.
Ritu has been researching what happened to Sant Singh's family during partition and has unearthed a document with information about them.
This is something from the army archives. I think your grandfather
was
in the army.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Okay. Wife. Oh, we've got her name. Oh, wow. I'm doing a lot of crying, aren't I? Right, so Balbir Kaur is my nan. So that's my nanny. And Pritham Kaur was his first wife.
Yes.
And it says, died due to Pakistan disturbances. So then her name's crossed out. So this must be, oh gosh, it's got her birthday, 1st of the 7th, 1922.
Yeah.
This is incredible. So his father, Deruram, born, is everyone's birthday, born in 1880. Rajpal Singh, 1937. His son, his first son. So this is Pritham's son. And then it says daughters. Who's Mahindra? 1941. She had a daughter.
Yes, it seems they had a daughter as well.
No one knew that. Nobody in my family, nobody talks about a daughter.
But they talk about the son.
They talk about the son.
Well, perhaps she died with the mother. She would have been quite young, I think. What's the date for?
41, so she was
So
6.
about
5,
6 or 7?
Yeah. So he had a daughter, as well as a son.
Although the document does not reveal how Mahindra died, Anita now has proof that her grandfather's first wife, Pritam Kaur, was one of the hundreds of thousands of women who perished during partition.
There's just so much going on in my head. To find out Pritam Kaur's name is really important. I know her name, and I know she had a son, and I know she had a daughter. Nobody talks about my grandfather having 2 children. They talk about a son, and they don't talk about a daughter. He had a daughter. Mahindra was her name. And now to come and discover just how brutal and barbaric partition was and how little power women had at that time. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's changed me. I feel like it's made whatever was going on in the pit of my stomach, it's turned it into a rock, if that makes any sense. I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but I know that this moment has changed who I am.
Anita has come to the Golden Temple in Amritsar, the holiest shrine in the Sikh world, and a place where her grandfather Sant often came to pray.
I've heard so much that I wasn't expecting to hear on this journey, so much that's really shocked me to the core. And I'm just trying to process it all. I'm trying to come to terms with what something my grandfather went through. He lost his entire family in partition. He had nobody. He had no mother, no father, no wife. He lost 2 children. He was totally alone. I'm not surprised that my grandfather didn't talk about his life before he married my grandmother. No wonder that generation just didn't talk about it. How can you? Where do you even start? But now that I've got this knowledge, now that I've learnt what I've learnt, I have to talk to his children about it. They need to know.
By 1961, 14 years after the horrors of partition, Sant Singh had remarried and settled with his new wife Balbir and their 6 children in the village of Sofi Pind in the eastern Punjab. Gurdeep Singh, Sant's oldest son, still lives in the family house there. Anita knows it well from her childhood, and she's decided to pay him a visit.
There he is. There we go. Ah, get out. Hello, Mama Ji. Thank you. It's so good to see you.
Welcome.
Yes, let's do it. This is amazing. Sophie Pind. We are back. First time. I remember playing with a puppy here. Yes. Oh gosh, photographs. Mama G, which ones have you got up here? Embarrassing. Oh, we got all the girls of the family, all with our degrees.
Yes.
Oh, look, there's my mum and dad.
Yes.
All something's family. So, Mama G, I've been on quite some journey, and I got this document. I really want to show you this. So this is a list of all Nanaji's dependents.
Yes.
So here you've got wife, Balbir Kaur,
Yes.
but his first wife was called Pritam Kaur.
Oh, Pritam Kaur.
Pritam Kaur.
Oh.
Did you know her name?
No, I didn't know the name.
It's amazing, isn't it, Mama Ji?
Huh? Very good.
Isn't
It's
it amazing?
I never knew the name.
But look, Mama Ji, this is what I'm really interested in. Here it says daughters, And here it says 1941, Mahindra.
Mahindra.
It says that he had a daughter.
This is amazing.
She was 6.
6, huh?
When partition happened in 1947, she was 6 years old.
6 years old. I never knew about this. I know very well that I had an elder brother. His name was Raj.
You
Raj,
knew that?
Yes, Rajpal Singh. I'll show you the photograph of my brother, Raj. This is photo of Rajpal Singh.
No way!
Yes.
Oh my God, he's so cute!
Here, you see?
This is Rajpal
Yes,
Singh.
Rajpal Singh.
Where did this photo come from? How
It
did
was here. It was kept by my father.
So he always had a picture of
Yeah.
Raj,
Yes.
and he always kept it.
Yes, he always kept. He used to see this photograph only alone, when nobody is watching, He used to see this.
He used to look at it.
Yes.
That's sad, Mamaji.
I'll show you some more pictures. You told me the name.
I told you the name.
I'll show you her photograph.
No way!
Here she is.
Pritam Kaur.
Pritam Kaur.
I can't believe it. Look at her. Wow. This is brilliant, Mamaji. This is amazing. Pritam Kaur. Pritam Kaur. Oh, wow. I actually can see your face. Fantastic that I've seen a picture of her. So, Nanaji Singh never spoke about what happened to Pritam Kaur during partition. Did he ever talk about it?
No, he never told me. We knew they were all slaughtered or butchered. But my dad, your grandfather, Nanaji, he never used to discuss. But one thing he used to tell me. Everybody was moving towards India.
Yeah.
My grandfather, Deru, he was riding the horse. And Rajpal, my brother, he was sitting in front of him. And they were surrounded there. So the people, Janglis, they called Janglis.
Tribal people.
One of them, he threw a spear, which pierced first Rajpal because he was, he was sitting in front of the horse. Then they brought my grandfather and they butchered him, and they started killing everybody.
So, Mamaji, how long have you known this story?
I was 8 or 9 years old when my father, he told me this story.
So you heard this story when you were a child, and I've been on this journey trying to find out the story of what happened to Deruram. And here you are, Mamaji,
Yes.
and you know the story.
Yes.
But you've never spoken about it. You've never told...
You never asked me.
I never asked you. This is the truth. Mamaji, thank you so much. Oh. Thank you, Mamaji.
Sant Singh and his second wife, Balbir, lived happily in Sophie Pind for the rest of their lives. Sant died in 1975, less than 2 years before the birth of his granddaughter, Anita.
Seeing the photos was amazing. I wasn't expecting to see a picture of my grandfather's first wife, and I feel an instant connection. It sounds weird to say that you feel connected to a photo of somebody you never knew, but I feel connected to that woman. And to see a picture of her son, Rajpal, my grandfather's first son. And it's a shame I didn't get to see a picture of his daughter, Mahindra, but at least I know that she existed. And I feel that she deserved to be remembered.
Before she leaves India, Anita has come to Haridwar, on the banks of the river Ganges. People come here from all over the country to honour their ancestors, and to bathe in what is for Hindus and Sikhs the most sacred of all Indian rivers. Many families keep their ancestral records here with local priests. Anita has come to record the deaths of Sant's first wife, Pritam, and their children, Rajpal and Mahindra.
Namaskar, Pandit ji.
Namaskar.
Kaise ho? Thank you. So the family village is Sirhali, which is in Jalandhar district. And the family name is Thaggar. And it's very important that I register what I found. Thank you, thank you.
Family records here are organised by village and region and stretch back hundreds of years.
Oh, gosh. Wow. 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 How do you know what's what? That is... That was quite something to see. And people say Indians are disorganised.
देखो ये आप ही का है
Okay.
संत सिंह जी
Yes.
ढेरू राम जी के
Yes, yes, yes. It's got the whole history here.
संत सिंह जी
My grandfather came here.
ये संत सिंह जी की सिग्नेचर है
No. There's his signature. 1948. So he came here to register his
संत
family.
सिंह जी
Sant Singh, there it is.
पूजा कराई थी इन चारों की
Ah. So Sant Singh came here and he did a prayer. He did a puja. He did a Hindu prayer for the 4 people that died.
ढेरू राम खुद आए
Deru Ram came. He's been here.
अपने पिता संघी के लिए कराए
1928 is when Deru got here. Wow. Okay. Well, how far back can we take this? Now he's getting
ये
there.
संघी आए
What? 1878 Sandhi came. So Sandhi, Deru's father, came here. Deru came here. Sant Singh came here. And the next person is me. I came here. Not his son. His granddaughter through his daughter came. Doti. Yeah.
No one has yet recorded Sant's second family, Anita's line.
So पंडित जी मैं अब आपसे लिखवा सकती हूँ कि वो उनके लड़के आकर लिख
मैं खुद आपसे लेकिन पूछ रहा हूँ
Oh, that he's going to write it down. You're going to do it. Sant Singh settled in Sofipind. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. He had 2 sons, Gurdeep Singh,
और दूसरे का नाम क्या है जी
Raminder Singh, Manjeet Kaur, Sukhjeet Kaur, my mother, Lakbir Kaur.
लकीर
I put Lucky in brackets. And then the youngest, Jaspir Kaur. My mum and my aunts are going to be so proud of this. Okay. Anita Rani. I wasn't expecting to see my Sant Singh's name in the book, and it's really important that I saw that name because it shows you what kind of man he was. In March 1948, the month before he married my nan, he came here to honour his family that had died. So I know about my grandfather's first family. But it's weird because had they survived, I wouldn't exist. It's because of the tragedy that happened to them in 1947 that my grandfather then went and embarked on a new life and a new journey and had this whole new family that I exist. And his story will continue through me. And that's wonderful.